All right, guys, live stream should be starting up now. I think I actually made an error in the title of this live stream though, so bear with me 1 second. Let me check this, or just didn't save the title. Let's see. So just hang on for 1 second. Yeah, it doesn't look like the title saved correctly here. So let me edit this. Save. Okay. Now that should be good. Let me just confirm. Sorry about this, guys. Okay. That should be better now. What is going on though, guys? We got 9 games to talk about here, NBA. And there's some news to go over. Let's first go over what we know so far. So if you guys are new to the channel, how this works is we'll take a look at the news, we'll review the Vegas odds, then we'll kind of go team by team, and then we'll get to questions at the end. So some of the stuff is out for Monday. We got the Magic starters that we know. Same starters as usual. LeBron James is available to play. Draymond Green is out. Let's see. Wizards, again, Westbrook is out, so they're starting Raul Neto at point guard. Fine value play. I mean, he'll probably play about 20 minutes. There's not a ton of great value. Karl-Anthony Towns is questionable. This is pretty big news, but from what I saw from the beat writer, now he thinks it's more than probable. When I read this blurb, I thought it was more doubtful because he said like they brought him back in the game as more of a decoy. So that's a pretty big piece of news to monitor because that changes the whole complexity of the slate. If Karl-Anthony Towns gets ruled out, then there's a really good chance that game does not stay close, making LeBron plus some of those mid-tier guys a lot riskier in the Lakers. And it's late game, so we won't get that news till way later. So, right, that it's not a great feeling with that. Again, Anthony Davis ruled out. So I think like obviously LeBron at the top. We have like Schroeder, we have Kuzma, we have Harrell. All look pretty good. So that's what we got here. Thank you, sir. Blake Rogers with the $5 super chat. Just want to say thank you, man. You have been a blessing. Appreciate your hard work. Thank you so much, dude. I really do appreciate that. And again, thanks guys for everyone to continuing to support these live streams. Been here since day one. Proud of you. Thank you guys. Again, I really do appreciate it. But all right, let's take a look at some of these Vegas odds. Let me refresh this really quick, make sure we're up to date, and then we'll go team by team. And then we'll go to questions at the end. We'll be on for a little over 30 minutes, so might be talking a little fast here. But yeah, we have Nets, we have Hornets. It's a 233 over under. The Nets are currently 11.5 point favorites, so there is some blowout risk in this one for sure. Magic Wizards a 230.5 over under. The Magic are 2-point favorites. We have Spurs, we have Pelicans a 227 over under. The Pelicans are 5-point favorites. Bucks, Knicks a 222 over under. The Bucks are currently 13-point favorites. Some blowout risk here. 76ers, Cavs a 217 over under. The 76ers are 7.5 point favorites. We have Celtics, Pacers a 221 over under. The Celtics are 2-point favorites. Warriors and Bulls a 228.5 over under. I think this one looks pretty good. Both two really bad teams that play no defense going up against each other. Warriors 3.5 point favorites. Suns, Kings also should be played at a fast pace. 225.5 over under. The Suns are 3-point favorites. And again, late night game. Timberwolves, Lakers a 229 over under. The Lakers are currently 9-point favorites without Anthony Davis. So let's start with Brooklyn. Brooklyn, we have KD, we have Kyrie at the top, 9-4, 9-1 respectively, firmly in play. It's just, are you going to prioritize some of these other guys at the top? You know, if you have LeBron at the top, you have Steph Curry, and there's a lot of really good plays in the mid-range. So there's some risk here. I don't think I go to these guys in cash because of the 11.5 point spread. But for GPPs, you can firmly look to KD, Kyrie. You kind of know where the offense comes from with those two guys. Both should play good minutes in a good matchup. Now, Karis LeVert off the bench at 6'5", more of a contrarian play for me. Can still get you to that price, but I think I prefer other plays at around that price range. Dinwiddie at 5'5" is fine, but I think I like some other guys in the mid-range. I don't really want to play DeAndre Jordan or Jared Allen. Just don't think we have to do it. They're going to split the center minutes. On the Charlotte side, so if they're going to stay in this game, it's going to be because of Hayward, Rozier, Graham. Probably at least one of these guys will have to have a big game. I think all three firmly in play. I think the best, or the guy that looks the best for me, just because he's the cheapest, is Devontae Graham. He's shot the ball terribly the first couple games. 4-13, 4-16, has still put up 30 and 36 fantasy points while shooting terribly, and he's been playing big minutes. So Graham would probably be my preferred target of these main three guys. Don't think he continues to shoot that bad. PJ Washington's a fine play in the mid-range. Played 29 minutes, a little bit more at the small ball 5 with no Cody Zeller. I think he's a decent option. Does have a somewhat low floor, though. And then last guy I'll mention here is Bismack Biyombo. I think he's one of the better value plays of the slate. Played 30 minutes the last game had 25 fantasy points, and that was against an undersized OKC front court, right? So this is a big Brooklyn front court. They have Jared Allen, they have DeAndre Jordan. They're going to need Bismack Biyombo. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, he should play about 30 minutes and no blowout. So Bismack Biyombo, I think, is one of the better value plays of the slate. And that's really it for the first game. Move on to San Antonio, New Orleans. This is one of my favorite games to target. And this is why I think the mid-range looks really good. There's a lot of really good plays in this mid-range. Let's start with the top two guys in the Spurs. DeRozan, Murray, I really like both. DeRozan has been on fire to start the season. 56 and 49 fantasy points. This matchup is great. He's been stuffing the stat sheet. Big minutes for him. I think he's underpriced. I also really like DeJounte Murray. I've been high on him first couple slates. I'm really high on him again. Stuffing the stat sheet. Had a triple-double last night. 11, 10, and 10. Again, the matchup is fantastic here. Pelicans play very little defense. So I really like both Spurs guards at the top and DeRozan and DeJounte Murray. Two of my favorite plays in the mid-range. Aldridge, I'd rather get to Murray and DeRozan. He's been a little underwhelming to start. Rudy Gay, minutes a little up and down in him, more of a contrarian play. Keldon Johnson's been getting some decent minutes at 5-5. I think he's a solid play, but not really my favorite. I would just rather get to a little bit more for DeJounte Murray and DeMar DeRozan. Same thing with Lonnie Walker. Like these guys are okay in the mid-range. Probably play somewhere between high 20s, low 30s minutes. I think they're okay, but again, would just rather get to DeMar DeRozan and DeJounte Murray. And then finally, like Patty Mills, probably get some decent run off the bench. He's played 19 and 30 minutes. I'd say somewhere in between that. I think he's a viable punt play. There's really not a ton of value on the slate. There's not. So if you are going more that stars and scrubs build, you're going to have to play some players you don't want to. If you're going to try to get LeBron, if you're going to try to get Steph Curry, you got to take some shots at some guys you really don't want to. So, or you go more the balanced approach. And the balanced approach, I think, looks really good. There's a lot of guys underpriced. So it's tough. I think both obviously look good. The stars and scrubs, I think, is a little riskier because of the lack of value. But let's move on to the Pelicans. So Zion, Brandon Ingram at the top, 8-2 and 8K respectively, firmly in play. These guys, 30 and 38 minutes for Zion, and Brandon Ingram, I think, was mid-30s minutes, 37 minutes. I think Ingram has a little bit more upside when he gets it going. Zion maybe slightly higher floor. Both guys I like in this game. You could definitely run a game stack too if you want to run like DeJounte Murray, DeMar DeRozan, and bring it back with one of either Zion or Brandon Ingram. I don't hate that at all. Again, this game I do like as part of a game stack. It should be played at a fast pace. So yeah, both Ingram, Zion I have interest in. Lonzo at 6'2" is okay. 29, 33 minutes. He's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. I just think he's a fair play in the mid tier. Not my favorite. You know, with Bledsoe being there, it kind of just Bledsoe and Lonzo Ball kind of hurt each other's upside. Both should play about 30 minutes. Both guys that can fill up the stat sheet, but you know, playing alongside each other just kind of hurts their upside. So they're both okay plays, but not really priorities for me. Steven Adams, I think, is a nice cash game play. What you know with him is the minutes. 31, 32 minutes. He'll probably get somewhere, I always say this, but somewhere like mid-20s to high to mid-30s fantasy points. I don't think he's a GPP play, but definitely a safer cash game play. You know, with Hart and Redick off the bench, both have actually got some decent minutes, 27 and 29 for Hart. Redick has played 29 and 24. So they're viable, you know, GPP plays. Redick is a guy that when he gets it going can obviously put up some fantasy points, but relying on the scoring does have a low floor if his shot is not falling. So that's it for the first two games. Let's move on to Orlando and Washington. And Orlando, Vucevic, I think, is one of the better plays in the mid-range. I just think this is too cheap. 8.3K. Love the matchup from him against Washington. Washington really struggles to defend big. So Vucevic is one of my favorite plays in this range. Really do like him. I think he plays somewhere like low 30 to 35 minutes. So he's one of my favorite plays in the mid-range. Gordon, they're still limiting his minutes, so I'm going to pass for now. Fournier is a guy who never played, just like Andrew Wiggins. Markelle Fultz, I think, is a decent play in the mid-range. Should play about 30 minutes. Again, good matchup. He had 37 last night. So I think he's a decent play in this kind of tier of guys. Terrence Ross, 2-score independent. I know he's been shooting the ball well. He shot 9 of 14. He is reliant on the scoring, though. If his shot is not falling, he doesn't do anything else. So contrarian GBP play, can't go there for cash. And I don't think we have to play like MCW or Cole Anthony. I mean, Cole Anthony's been decent, but not getting a ton of minutes, 17, 19 minutes. I don't know if we have to do it on this slate. Let's move on to Washington. So Washington, no Russell Westbrook is pretty big news. So Brad Beal, I think, is firmly in play at the top. You know, I said 44 and 58 fantasy points in games with Westbrook. Now there's no Russell Westbrook, so he should, you know, be leading this offense. I think he's definitely in play under 9K. Does have a ton of upside. We saw it last game. Good shooter, obviously. Thomas Bryant at 6'5", I think there's better center plays on the board. I don't want to play Bertans. Ish Smith's at 5'7". This is a little pricey. Going to come off the bench. Should play more minutes. I would expect, you know, Neto to start and probably play about 20. I think Ish probably plays about high 20s minutes. So, but 5'7", that's just a little pricey for me. Troy Brown Jr., you can throw in the player pool, but how many more minutes does he get? He's been terrible. First couple games, 22, 13 minutes, 8 and 4 fantasy points. Again, you can give him a look because there's very little value on the slate, but how many minutes does he get is a little bit more in question. And then lastly, This is a guy that's going to be pretty popular tonight. Raul Neto, 3.1K. He's starting, but don't expect a lot of minutes from him. I would say about 20 is a pretty fair guess. I think Ish Smith probably plays 28. I think they split the minutes. I think Ish Smith plays more off the bench, but there's like no value. There's like literally like Biyombo, Raul Neto. So, do you feel good about this guy? No. And that's why like the mid-range is a lot more viable, or more the balanced approach, because you don't have to play guys like this. So if you play Raul Neto, again, probably about 20 minutes, and what you're hoping for is probably about 15-ish fancy points. So yeah, he's in play for value, but definitely not a must. I think he's going to be pretty popular in cash games. All right, let's move on to Philly and Cleveland. So Philly, Embiid at the top at 9.8K. Definitely in play, more suited for GPPs though, because like the first game we talked about, there's a decent chance this game does not stay close. Cleveland, not a great team. So Embiid, I would put more than GPP category, but obviously has upside. Like the matchup from a lot. Ben Simmons, a little pricey for me. I'm not going to play Tobias Harris, just too reliant on the scoring. I don't think I get to anyone else here, like Milton or Curry or Danny Green. I don't think we have to do it. So let's move on to Cleveland. Kevin Love, I don't think we have confirmation on that yet. He's still questionable. If he does miss, makes Larry Nance a decent play there in the mid-range. He had a big game that first game out when Kevin Love was out. So Nance would be a little bit more viable if Kevin Love is out. Drummond at the top at 8.6. Again, we got the double overtime game, so just everyone in Cleveland's going to look better if you just look at their most recent game. He had 44 minutes, 64 fans once again. That game went to double overtime. Him and Embiid do not like each other. Drummond's a guy that is infallible a decent amount, and he had 3 blocks, 4 steals. We can't expect that again. I'm just a little uneasy about Drummond, more of a GPP play for me. Again, Sexton had a decent game, but again, because of the double overtime, I think he's just a more contrarian play for me. Garland has been on fire the first couple of games, but like I said, double overtime definitely helped. He's been shooting the ball fantastic. 7 of 13, 9 of 14. He's priced at almost 6K. He is not going to continue this level of production. He is not that good of a player, so I feel like people might chase it. I personally would rather get to other plays in the mid-range. I'm not saying Garland is out of play, but there's so many good plays in like the 6, 7K range that I don't think, for me at least, that I want to prioritize Darius Garland in a tougher spot. So I'm going to look elsewhere. I think the ownership will be up. I don't think he continues to shoot the ball this well. Now, if Kevin Love is out, we already have Okoro out. CD Osman is a viable, cheaper play. Played 26 minutes that last game. With Okoro out, should play more, possibly starts. And if Kevin Love is out too, I think that's even more minutes for Osman. So I think he's actually an okay play in the mid-range. But that's really, you can punt with JaVale McGee. He'll probably play like 15 or so minutes. He's a decent point per minute guy. Again, if there being very little value in the slate, it does make him, I guess, a little bit more viable. But let's move on to Milwaukee, New York. Same thing in this game. Again, there's some blowout risk here. Giannis, Middleton, Drew are all in play, but just know the risk. There's a decent chance this game does not stay close. So up to you guys on, I guess how you're building your lineup. Like if I knew Giannis was going to play his full minutes, I think he'd be one of the best benefits of the slate. But there's a good chance the game does not stay close. Same with Middleton, right in the mid range. He's been on fire last couple of games. 58 and 49 fantasy points. But again, there is some risk here if this game does not stay close. I don't want to play Brolo at 5.3. Price is coming down, but I don't know if it's coming down enough. If you do think this game does blow out, then I think a guy like Bobby Portis looks intriguing. Had played 26 minutes, had 33 fantasy points the last game. It is a revenge game too. Maybe you look to a guy like DJ Augustine or Pat Connaughton probably plays a little bit in the blowout as well. Possibly some maybe value plays in GPPs, but that's really there for the Bucks. Let's move on to the Knicks. Knicks, there's not a ton of interest from me. It's kind of Randall, and that's about it. Randall's at 7-7. If they're going to stay in this game, it's got to be because of big game from him. Basically 40 fantasy points in back-to-back games. More of a GPP play, though. I prefer other plays in the mid-range. RJ Barrett, too reliant on the scoring for me. I know he's had 4 assists, 6 boards, not a normal stat line for RJ Barrett. Usually he's a little bit more reliant on the scoring. Price is up. I'm going to look elsewhere. Mitchell Robinson, I'm just not dealing with the headache of him and foul troubles on this slate, so I'm going to pass. Alec Burks has been decent off the bench, but been shooting the ball okay. 36 and 38 fantasy points. Would not expect that level of production to continue. I think people chase, kind of like Darius Garland. I'll look elsewhere. Elfrid Payton barely played the last game, even though he started. And the value, sure, you can throw a guy like Reggie Bullock in play because he'll probably play mid-20s minutes, but I don't want to play him. And that's really it for the Knicks for me. Golden State, Chicago, this is one of my, also like San Antonio and New Orleans, this is one of my favorite games to target. Really, really like this game. Steph Curry at the top at 9-3, one of my favorite spend-ups with LeBron. It's just, are you comfortable with enough value around him to get him into your lineup? That's the question you have to ask yourself because the mid-range is fantastic today. So Steph, in 2 games that have blown out, 45 and 35 fantasy points. This game should stay close. It's a 2-point spread. Both teams are terrible on the defensive end. So we should get like mid-30s minutes from Steph Curry. I think he's one of the better spend-ups of the slate, and a guy that has a ton of upside. He really has not been shooting the ball well. 7 of 21, 6 of 17. But Chicago is terrible on the defensive end. So Steph, I really do like the top. Wiseman, more of a GPP play for me. There's no Marquise Chris, so maybe he plays a few more minutes. 30 and 34 fantasy points has been decent. But 6'6", the price is getting up there, so I'd put him more in the category of a GPP play. I never play Andrew Wiggins. You guys know that. Oubre, the price is coming down, but still not coming down enough. Draymond Green is out, but I still don't think I can go Eric Pascal's been terrible to start. And then value, last guy I mentioned is Kevon Looney. Like, he's been not playing a ton, 11 and 11 minutes. But with no Marquise Chris, the minutes might go up here to like 15 to 20. But really, again, you're not going to feel good about that. And that's really it for Golden State. So let's move on to Chicago. Chicago's also a team I'm pretty high on. I like LaVine. I like Kobe White. I know they've both been terrible to start the season, but they've been blowouts, right? 25 and 29 minutes. The minutes have just not been there. Minutes are everything. These guys should play in the fourth quarter. This game should stay close. So expect mid-30s minutes from both these guards. The offense runs through them. I know they've been shooting the ball bad, but this is a much easier matchup too. So LaVine, Kobe White, I do like a good amount. 2 of the better plays in the mid-range, in my opinion. Markkanen, I would rather get to the guards. Otto Porter actually intrigues me off the bench. Hasn't been playing a ton because of the blowouts, but if this game does stay close, I expect like mid to high 20s in minutes. I think he's an interesting GPP play. I'm not going to get to Williams at 5-1. It's a little pricey. Wendell Carter Jr. Probably does play over 30 minutes in this game, but I don't know if it's necessary on this slate. And that's really it for me for Chicago. So, real quick, guys, we are a little over halfway through the show. If you guys do enjoy the content, would appreciate it. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's try to aim for 100 likes on this live stream. But all right, let's move on to Boston and the Pacers. Again, I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat. All right, Boston. So Tatum, Brown, again, this is a little bit of a different team, right? You kind of know where the offense comes from now. Last year, they were a balanced team with Hayward, with Kemba. Kemba's still out. Hayward's out of town. So Tatum, Brown is where the offense is going to run. Now, Tatum at 8-8 in a tougher matchup, I think, is still viable, but I probably prefer some other plays for a little bit cheaper. Jaylen Brown is probably the guy I would prefer just because he's cheaper. Again, 24, 25 shot attempts, so he is shooting the ball a ton more. Now, matchup against the Pacers, not necessarily the best, but I think Jaylen Brown would be the guy I would look to at the top if it was going to play one of these Boston guys. Marcus Smart at 6'7", just a little pricey. I would rather get to Jaylen Brown at some of the price. With Thompson, with Tice, they're kind of killing each other's fantasy value. Like, they're playing like about 20 minutes a game, and neither are really doing a ton playing alongside each other. So don't really want to look to either of them. Teague was the Grinch on Christmas. Played 21 minutes, shot 0 of 5 after having a good game. The first game off the bench, I still think he's a viable GPP play. No one will play him after he was the chalk boss on Christmas. But yeah, that's kind of it for me on the Boston side. Not a ton I'm super excited about on the Pacers side. You guys know I'm a huge on Domantas Sabonis. 8.4K, it's just too cheap. Sure, the matchup might not be as good as he has had early in the season against the Knicks and the Bulls, but I still think he's firmly in play. He's a guy that has triple-double upside. He went for a triple-double last game, so I do like Sabonis, like Vucevic, like DeMar DeRozan, like DeJounte Murray, like those Pelicans guys, like the Bulls guards. There's a lot of good plays in this mid-range that, again, the balanced approach looks pretty appealing as well. So Sabonis is firmly in play. Should play about 35-plus minutes if this game does stay close. I do like him a good amount. Brogdon is still in play as well at 7'3". Has the ball in his hands a ton. Probably not as much upside as Sabonis, but like both those guys, Brogdon and Sabonis, I think both are in play in both cash and GPP. Everyone else just stay away from me. I don't play Oladipo or Warren or Turner. Like, if there's some injuries, that's what I'm going to consider these guys. But really, it's Brogdon, Sabonis. That's about it for me. Like Justin Holiday, don't think we have to go there for value. We'll get decent minutes, but I think there's probably better value plays on the board. All right, 2 games. Phoenix Suns and the Sacramento Kings. So this game actually does look pretty appealing. Should be played at a really fast pace, and I don't think a ton of people get to players in this game. Now, Booker, more of a contrarian play at 9.5. For me, I would rather play Steph Curry at a similar price. DeAndre Ayton actually looks like a decent GPP play. He's been in foul trouble in back-to-back games to start the season, so only has played 24 and 30 minutes. If this game does stay close, I expect about 35 minutes from DeAndre Ayton. He's a good point per minute guy. The matchup is good, too, against Holmes or Whiteside, so as long as he stays out of foul trouble, I think he makes for a nice play here at 7.4, and people will box score watch. They'll see he's at 29 and 28 fantasy points and completely avoid him. I think that's a mistake. Ayton, I kind of like as a contrarian play. I think he goes overlooked after back-to-back games that he's been in foul trouble. Chris Paul, 7-2. Did play 33 minutes the last game, which is good to see. Had 54 fantasy points. Now, how many minutes are we going to get? I would say somewhere between high 20s to low 30s. I think he's a decent play, but not really a priority for me. And then you have a bunch of similar plays like Bridges, Crowder, Cameron Johnson. I just don't think we have to go to any of them on this 9-game slate. So let's move on to the Kings. De'Aaron Fox at 8-1. You guys know I'm a huge De'Aaron Fox fan. 39-35 minutes. The minutes are there for him. He fills up a stat sheet. Again, this game should be played at a fast pace. So I do like Fox in the mid-range too. Again, there's a lot of really good plays kind of in this 6, 7, 8K range. De'Aaron Fox is one of them. I do like him a decent amount. Healed more line in the scoring. I would list him more as a contrarian play because of that factor. It does have a low floor if his shot is not falling, but definitely still in play for GPPs. Barnes is actually surprising stat lines here for Harrison Barnes. 21 points, 9 boards, 5 assists. 21 points, 11 boards, 2 assists. These are outlier games. He's not going to average a double-double every single game. And normally he's just a guy that stands in the corner and shoots threes, and that's about it. So I really don't know what's going on with Harrison Barnes. I think people might chase. I'm still going to avoid. I don't trust it. He's a guy that we know historically, not a high-usage guy, will play the minutes, but will basically just stand on the three-point line, and you got to hope he hits the shot. So I don't really know what's happened recently with him last couple games, but I do not expect that to continue. Bagley at 5-7, just the minutes. Only 21 minutes the last game, 27 the first game. Not playing a ton, so don't think I can go there. A couple of value plays I will mention, though. Rashawn Holmes and Whiteside are going to split those center minutes. Both these guys are viable. Holmes, 23, 24 minutes. You can feel a little bit more comfortable with his minutes. I think he's a decent play for value. And Whiteside's more of the GBP play off the bench. Won't play as much, 18 and 15, but he's a really good point per guy. At 25 fantasy points in 15 minutes. If something happens to Holmes, like foul trouble against Ayton, then Whiteside plays a little bit more. He could crush, but again, more suited for GBPs because just the fact that he won't play a ton of minutes unless something happens to Holmes. Finally, Minnesota and the Lakers. So this game, I think, is key to getting the slate right, whether you avoid most of it, or you avoid LeBron and go more balanced, or you go LeBron and then you have to play some cheaper guys you're probably not as comfortable with. But yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns, this is big news. His status is still questionable. Now, originally I thought he was more on the doubtful side. After the report I read, he came back into the game just for a decoy. But from the Minnesota beat writer said today, he said he expects Karl-Anthony Towns to play. So with all that being said, I'm more confident this game stays close if Karl-Anthony Towns plays. If Karl-Anthony Towns is out, then I think Naz Reid is probably the top value on the slate. Great point per minute guy. If he starts, he'll probably get at least 25 minutes. So that's something to monitor. Unfortunately, again, it's a late game, so you got to make some tough calls here. Are you going to leave room for this game, or are you going to try to avoid it and hope it blows out? Right? So it's tricky. With this being the late game, it does make it a little more difficult to make lineups. Now, if Karl-Anthony Towns is out, and you want to target LeBron, you want to target those mid-range guys from the Lakers, I think it makes sense to try to get to a guy like D'Lo or Malik Beasley, because if Cat is out and the Timberwolves are good to stay in this game, it's got to be because of a big game from D'Lo or Malik Beasley, right? That's where the offense will come from. So if you're pretty high in the Lakers and Karl-Anthony Towns is out, you probably want to look to run it back with either D'Lo or Beasley, because the only way Minnesota stays in this game, you kind of know where it's going to come from, right? It's D'Angelo Russell, it's Malik Beasley. D'Angelo Russell, revenge game narrative. So again, depending on cat news, but if you're pretty high in the Lakers guys, then you might want to look to run it back with one of these Timberwolves guys, that being either D'Lo or Malik Beasley. But all in all, if Karl-Anthony Towns plays, there's not a ton I like on this team, a tougher matchup. So everything depends on the status of Cat. Right now, it's looking more towards probable, but we've got to monitor that news. I will mention, I guess, let's go back to Minnesota. Koji, with there being so little value, he's played 33 and 32 minutes. So, no, he's not a great offensive player, more out there for his defense. But if we're going to get over 30 minutes from him, you can throw him in the player pool. Again, you're not going to feel good about it, but that's the way for Minnesota. Let's finish up with the Lakers. So, again, Anthony Davis, what we know, already ruled out. So, LeBron James at the top, I think, is one of the better spend-ups. It's just, do you feel comfortable with enough of the value to get him in there? That's what you have to ask yourself. Again, there's a lot of good plays in the mid-range. So, if you're comfortable with the value, then I think getting LeBron James is a good option. Now, he's only played 28 and 31 minutes. Those games have been blowouts. I expect about 35 minutes if this game does stay close. And his usage obviously goes up when Anthony Davis is out. So, great matchup too. I do like LeBron. I don't know if he's necessarily a must, though, on the slate. Now, with Harrell, with Schroeder, with Kuzma, these guys look pretty decent options in the mid-range. I think I would rank them Harrell, then Schroeder, then Kuzma. With no Anthony Davis, maybe Montrez plays a couple more minutes. He's been really solid in the games he's played so far. It's a great matchup. He's a good point-per-minute guy. So Harrell, someone in the mid-range, I think is very much in play. Schroeder as well should have to do more offensively with no Anthony Davis. So I like both those guys, and I think Kuzma's viable too. I expect Kuzma to start. He should have to shoot the ball more, probably play over 30 minutes. All three of these guys in the mid-range I like, and Harrell and Schroeder and Kuzma. And if you think this game blows out, then I think you can look to maybe a guy like Montrez, who probably does get some blowout run if the game does not stay close. And then below that, probably not KCP or Markieff Morris for me. Don't know if we have to do it. I mean, Markieff Morris probably does play a few more minutes, but is that a necessity? I don't know. And that's kind of it for me. THT, I'll just mention him. He's played 11 and 7 minutes the last couple of games, so not playing a ton, but with no Anthony Davis, he might play a few more minutes. But again, it's nothing more than a dart throw. Just because I'm a big fan of THT, he's won me a ton of money in the preseason. But yeah, that's really it, guys. So again, this Minnesota Lakers game is key. I think there's obviously two ways you can go about it. You can go kind of the stars and scrubs build, right? Go with like guys like LeBron or Steph Curry, and then you probably have to take some shots at some cheaper guys that you don't really want to play. Or you go the balance approach. Again, there's a lot of really good plays in that 6, 7, 8K range. So let's get some questions, guys. I'll stand for another 10 minutes, and then we'll get out of here. I'll ask one more time if you guys do enjoy this content to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Kuzma. You guys like Kuzma. I think Kuzma is definitely a play. DK, let's see. I really want to risk it and Naz Reid if he balls when Cat is in there. Yeah, Naz Reid, again, he would be probably the best value play in the slate if Karl-Anthony Towns gets ruled out, but we're probably not going to get that news. DeRozan is way too. DeRozan and DeJounte Murray are two of my favorite plays in the mid-range. I like them both a lot. Is Beal must play? No. There's a lot of good plays in the mid-range. Definitely not a must play. Beal or Curry? Curry for me. Bledsoe, Burks, Dinwiddie, or Seth Curry. Bledsoe and Burks or Dinwiddie and Seth Curry. I'd rather go with the first option. Neto, we'll play about 20 minutes. Now, again, it's just a salary relief play. The only reason you're playing him is to get those guys at the top into your lineup. Don't expect a big game for Ole Neto. I expect about 20 minutes. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. He's not a great point-per-minute guy, so it's a little uneasy feeling when you know he's going to be popular tonight. Murray or Graham, price doesn't matter. That's a really close one. Really, really close. I'll go DeJounte Murray. Thoughts on Vassell, not for me. D'Lo or DeRozan. Now, again, if things could change, if Karl-Anthony Towns is out, D'Angelo Russell is a lot better play. I'd rather take DeRozan over Levine for $600 cheaper. Levine is a bit scoring dependent for my taste, dude. Yeah, he has been scoring dependent the last few games, but actually normally he's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet, and it's a good matchup. So I think the Bulls go a little under-owned based off last couple of games. Schroeder, White, Ross, Sabonis, Vooch, Seth Curry, Portis, Harrell. Thoughts? A little risky, but I have no issue. Are you going balance to stars and scrubs? It's going to be a game-time decision for me, to be honest. I still haven't decided. Beal or DeRozan? I'll take the discount on DeRozan. Straight up, it's Beal, but taking price in consideration, I'll go DeRozan. I think I'm going to go for a balanced approach. I mean, there's a lot of really good plays in the mid-range, right? Is Pascal play? Not for me. Don't think we have to do it. He's played terrible. I don't trust him. Dude, why was tight stream so fast? Sorry if it's personal. Well, I started at 5:45 and it'll go for, it's usually, 30, 40-minute streams. Hayward or Drew Holiday or DeJounte Murray in the utility. So, it depends how you're playing, right? Hayward and Drew Holiday, there's risk. In both their games, there's a decent chance that game does not stay close. I feel the best about the Spurs keeping it close. I'll go to DeJounte Murray. Pascal, thoughts? Again, I don't think we have to do it. How do you think, how do you like Curry, Levine, Porter Jr., Sabonis, Biyombo, Schroeder, Keefe, Morris, and Portis? I have no issue. Again, there's some risk, right? Markieff, Bobby Portis, more GPU plays. Everything else is fine. Beal must play? No, he's not a must play. What do you think of Washington rookie Avija with no Westbrook? Probably not for me. DK, can you play DeRozan and Murray? Yes, you can play them both together. Smith, Garland, or Fultz? Fultz. Are you going balance? Haven't decided yet, to be honest. Marc Gasol going to get a bump in minutes? Probably not. Maybe a few extra minutes. Again, I would just rather play Montrezl Harrell, though, in the mid-range. Thoughts on Zion and Ingram? You can play them both together. I think Ingram is a little more upside than Zion. Patreon stream, yes. Patreon stream, again, 30 minutes before lock, so about 15 minutes Patreon stream will be live. Curry or Irving? It's Steph for me. Rate my lineup. Curry, Beal, Osman, Sabonis, Biyombo, Neto, Grant Williams, and Vooch. I don't really want to play Grant Williams. Everything else is fine, though. Best play 4.9K or less. Let's see. 4.9K or less. I mean, dependent on Kevin Love news. If Kevin Love is out, I think C.D. Osman actually is a decent play there. Or you can take a shot on Bobby Portis, but you kind of need the blowout there, revenge game narrative. So, yeah, there's not a ton in that range. I would say either of those two options. So, what do you think about Doug McDermott? I don't think I would play Doug McDermott. or to wait for Naz Reid. Again, from what I saw from the Timberwolves beat writer, it's looking like he's more probable. Either way, though, like Naz Reid probably plays about 15. Like I think you could still play Naz Reid even if Cat plays, and if the game does blow out, he'll get extended a bit more. So you could still go Naz Reid either way. He's a good point per minute guy for sure. Stars and scrubs for me right in my lineup. Let's see. Curry, Beal, Osman, Sabonis, Biyombo, Neto. Okay, I already went over that. Dinwiddie in play. He's fine in the mid-range. I probably prefer some other plays, though. Harrell and Gasol, okay. And, I don't know if I play Marc Gasol. Vucevic or Ayton, Vucevic, but I do like both. Schroeder, Beal, Avija, Zion, Vooch, Garland, Portis, and Biyombo thoughts. Again, Garland I think will be a little bit over-owned, but it's hard to argue what he's done recently. Avija, I don't know if his role changes a ton. I guess he's an okay value play. How many minutes has he played? Let's go to Washington. I'm curious. Denny Avija is a 4K. 28, only 15 minutes the last game. Again, wasn't foul trouble, so you're not going to feel good about it. Alec Burks, he's been shooting the ball really well. Again, kind of like Garland. Hard to argue what he's done. I don't think he keeps up that level of production. Thoughts on Neto? More of just a salary relief play. He'll probably play about 20 minutes. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I think Kevin Durant is the play of the night. Yeah, he's going to be low-owned. Great matchup. There is some blowout risk, though. Thoughts on LeBron? Missed first part of the stream. So LeBron, it depends, right? If you play LeBron, you got to take some shots at some cheaper guys that you probably don't want to play. While the balanced approach, obviously a lot of good plays in the mid-range, so it's kind of up to you. Like LeBron has a good amount of upside. It's a great matchup. There is some blowout risk. So thoughts on T.J. Warren? Not for me. It's Sabonis and Brogdon. I don't sleep on Troy Brown. Yeah, he's a viable cheap play. I'm just a little uneasy on his minutes. How many minutes does he play, right? So Neto will start. Ish Smith will back him up. How many minutes are left for Troy Brown? I don't know, right? It's risky. Yes. There's a private Patreon stream that should be up there. If not, I'll make it again. Again, that'll be going live in under 15 minutes. Best super value guard. I mean, it's probably Neto just because he's like min price. But thoughts on DiVincenzo? Fine play. DK, I'm really liking Portis tonight. Can you tell me I'm crazy? No. He's fine, but you kind of need the blowout. If the game does stay close, he only plays about 15-ish minutes. It is a revenge game, though. Thoughts on Dwayne Bacon? I don't think I would play Dwayne Bacon. Osman, 4,800, a good play in the mid-range. Ish Smith or Washington? For me, it's Washington. Bobby Portis. Yeah, I'm a big Bobby Portis fan. Who's going to make the most threes tonight? Probably Steph Curry. Just took out Pascal and inserted Kuzma. Yeah, I would rather play Kuzma over Pascal. Dinwiddie, 4,800 on FanDuel. Well, he's 4,800 on FanDuel. Dinwiddie is actually better on FanDuel because, he should play about 30 minutes if the game stays close. So, yeah, actually, he does look a lot better there on FanDuel. Is Osman okay with Love playing and Okoro out? Yeah, so how many minutes for Osman? I would say 25 to 30. I think he's firmly in play because there's not a ton of value. He's not going to be the number one option, but minutes should be okay. Marvin Bagley in play. I'm just a little bit worried about his minutes. Reggie Bullock, sneaky play. Yeah, there's not a ton of value, so you can at least consider him. Vucevic or Sabonis? That's a really, really tough one. You guys know I love Sabonis, but I might go Vucevic there because I like the matchup better against Washington. That's basic coin flip, but yeah, really, really close there. Besides Fox, nobody else is playing a lot of minutes. Yeah, exactly. That's an Otto Porter. Like him as GPP play. Ingram, DeRozan, or Ingram. Wait, so two Ingrams? That's really close. Ingram probably is a little more upside than DeRozan, but yeah, hard to say. Sabonis or Vooch? Again, I'll go Vooch because of the matchup, but that's basically a coin flip. What about Satoransky for value? I guess I didn't mention Satoransky. He's been getting more run, though, because of the blowouts. So how many minutes? He played 25 minutes. Again, mainly because of the blowout. I don't know if he plays a ton if the game stays close, and this game should stay close. So, yeah, you can play him. He's a decent point per minute guy, but I would not expect him to play 25 minutes again. Best forward under 5,700. Let's see. Forward, 5,700. I would say Kuzma. Probably Kuzma or PJ Washington. There's not a ton really in this range. Like I'd rather play Kuzma than Bagley. Yeah, that's probably what I would do. Yeah, it's not a great range. Favorite play 3.5K or less. Yeah, it's a gross range to be honest. There's not a lot of good value here. I mean, yeah, JaVale McGee's at 3.6. I mean, I think you can give a look to Noel if Mitchell Robinson gets in foul trouble, but hasn't been playing a ton. Really, Draftkings did a good job. There's very little playable guys down here. I guess it's Raul Neto. He's starting at point guard, but again, don't expect more than about 20 minutes from him. Terrence Ross or Osman, tough. Terrence Ross more reliant on the scoring. Ross probably has more upside. But again, very reliant on the scoring. So thoughts on Sexton? I'm going to look elsewhere. Koji punt. Yeah, Koji's worth a punt. Not going to feel good about it. More out there for his defense. But over 30 minutes in back-to-back games. Beal or Rudy Gay? Well, definitely Beal. Playing FanDuel. No, I don't play FanDuel. Elf Payton with all the guards out for the Knicks. I still don't know if I can do it. Thoughts on Eric Bledsoe? He's a fine play in the mid-range. Pascal or Naz Reid? Depends on Cat news. If Cat's out, obviously Naz Reid. With Cat in, probably Pascal, but I'm not super excited about that play. Favorite play from the 5 to 6K range for shooting guard. Okay. Stay on for a couple more questions, guys, and then I got to get out of here. Got to get ready for the Patreon live stream. But yeah, 5 to 6K shooting guard. Again, this Beasley depends on Cat news. If Karl-Anthony Towns is out, I would probably go Blake Beasley. But we're not going to get that news most likely, so I think it's Bledsoe. Bledsoe or Dinwiddie. I feel a little bit better with this game staying close, so I'll go Bledsoe. So yeah, a little tough one to answer. Do you like Wendell Carter Jr.? Fine play. I think he does play over 30 minutes. He's been bad last couple games. I think he's an interesting GPP play. Let's see. DeRozan or Levine? That one's basic coin flip. I like them both a good amount. Do Steph's viral video make him must own tonight? What video was viral? Portis is bad. Portis is only a GPP play. He is. Do not play him in cash games. Like, if this game stays close, he'll only play about 15 minutes. The reason he got there last game was because of the blowout. So thoughts on Markelle Fultz? I just think he's a decent play at 6K. Should play about 30 minutes. This is a good matchup. He had, 37 fantasy points the last game. DeJounte, Kobe White, or Jaylen Brown-ish? First option for me. There's rumblings that Temple may start for the Bulls. Doesn't decent play. Yeah, I mean, if that happens, then Temple would be an okay value play. Wiseman or Harrell? Harrell for me. That is close. Both are, high usage guys, but I'm a little bit more comfortable with Harrell's minutes now that Anthony Davis is out. For GPP, Curry, Beal, Kuzma, Sabonis, Biyombo, Neto, Harrell, Portis. I think that's fine. Harrell. AD is out. Harrell usage is going to go up. Yeah, Harrell's going to be somewhat popular, but I think minutes might go up a little bit or play about 30. Usage will go up with no Anthony Davis. Thoughts on Embiid? Yes, Embiid usually owns Drummond. More of a contrarian play, though. I prefer other spin-ups. Bledsoe or Schroeder? That's close. That's really, really close. I'll go Schroeder because Anthony Davis is out. Thoughts on Jay Crowder? Probably not for me. All right, guys, a couple more questions here, then I got out of here. Anthony Edwards or PJ? I'll go PJ. Curry, Ish Smith, DeRozan, Osman, Ingram, Sabonis, Kuzma, Harrell, FanDuel. I think that's fine. His usage is going up, but Bledsoe not bad. Yeah, again, that's kind of how I think. I'll go Schroeder over Bledsoe there. Milwaukee win by 20. There's definitely some blowout risk here. Garland or Schroeder? Schroeder for me. Thanks, man. Steph it. Oh, wow. That's crazy. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. I got to go ready for the Patreon stream. So good luck tonight. I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll be back. Video up from Monday slate will be up later tonight. So thanks again. Good luck, and I will see you guys all later.